Did you know that? Well, come on, Professor. How are you, sir? Glad to see you. Thank you. Very much. Well, welcome to your beautiful State House. We often have ceremonial things here, ceremonies and a lot of moments to remember. And this, of course, is one of those. And as you understand and as you will hear in a few moments about the relevance of what we're doing here to what's going on all over the world. And we're always very proud when South Carolina is able to take a stand, make a statement, make a contribution to not only our people, but people around the world. And this is one of those moments. And there are people here and others who are not here today who have had an enormous impact on the pride, happiness, and success of the people in our state. And as I talk to businesses around the world and they explain to me why they want to be here, it's always about the people. And if we are going to thrive, we must see that our people thrive. And this is a part of that. There's been an idea that was put into a bill that ended up becoming law. It was initiated by Representative Bernstein, and she will speak to that now.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you so much. For those who don't know me, my name is Beth Bernstein. I serve in the South Carolina House of Representatives, and I represent a district here right in Richland County. And I was the main sponsor of this bill, but as you can see with the crowd behind me, it took an effort, and there's a crowd of people in front of me. It took a lot of people who were integral in getting this to the finish line. And what we're talking about is the Antisemitism bill. And I wanted to give you some stats just to kind of start off with. According to the American Jewish Committee, nearly 1/3 of Americans are either unsure of what anti-Semitism means or have never heard the term. And this uncertainty extends to beyond just in the United States. Although the rise in anti-Semitic events in the United States have consistently increased over the last decade, these incidences have skyrocketed by as much as 360% since the October 7th massacre, according to the Anti-Defamation League. And to even begin to solve this problem of anti-Semitism, there must be clarity about what it is and what it is not. That's why in 2016, the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, IRA, built international consensus around a non-legally binding definition that offers clear guidelines and guardrails. In the United States, 33 states and the District of Columbia, along with the current administration, the institutes of higher education, have adopted either by proclamation, executive order, or by statute this IRA definition of anti-Semitism, so that it can be used as an essential tool to clarify what anti-Semitism looks and sounds like in the 21st century. I filed this legislation last year to help South Carolinians use this definition as a barometer to determine if anti-Semitism exists here in our state. Thankfully, my colleagues in the House and Senate overwhelmingly agreed, along with the governor, of course, that South Carolina needs this working definition of anti-Semitism. And I'm delighted that we will now be included as one of those states, making us the 34th state. And you might ask the question, how will it be applied? While we don't have a statewide hate crime bill, local municipalities who have enacted hate crime ordinances can use this definition to determine if a specific incident is considered anti-Semitic. It can also be utilized in the human resources context and by colleges and universities. As I've alluded to earlier, there were so many people who are integral in getting, or who were integral in getting this to the finish line. And it's actually too many to name individually, but I do want to point out some who are here with us today, if that's all right. I have representatives from the Jewish Federation in Columbia, Charleston, and Greenville, and Stamp Out Hate, South Carolina, including Judy Corsaro, Brandon Fish, my sister Michelle Perrick. We have Anita Zucker, well-known businesswoman and philanthropist who is known beyond just the borders of our state. We also have Karen Floyd, founder and CEO of the Palladium Group, Daryl May with Stand With Us, Barry Clarkberg with USC's AEPI chapter. We have former Representative Judge Alan Clemens. We have Dr. Mark Goldfeder with the National Jewish Advocacy Center. We have the Israeli Consul General to the Southeastern United States, Anat Sultan Dadan. And we have representatives from the Israeli American Council. More particularly, we have Elon Carr, who will be speaking after me. Mr. Carr is the CEO of the Israeli American Council and has served as a senior U.S. diplomat, criminal prosecutor, military officer, and community leader. He served as the United States Special Envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism in the last administration, directing U.S. policy and programs aimed at combating Jewish hatred throughout the world. Before his federal appointment, Elon has devoted over a decade to public safety as a deputy district attorney for Los Angeles, prosecuting violent felonies. He also served for 20 years as an officer of the United States Army Reserve and was an international president of the AEPI chapter president. And with that, Mr. Carr.
Thank you so much, Governor McMaster, Lieutenant Governor Yvette, Representative Bernstein, Representative and Judge Clemens, members of the legislature of both houses and both parties, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to you, and thanks to the extraordinary leadership and commitment of Governor McMaster, we are here to celebrate a great moment for South Carolina and for America. When I served as U.S. Special Envoy and led America's fight against this global scourge of Jew hatred, one of our top diplomatic priorities was that the IRA definition of anti-Semitism be adopted to the greatest extent possible. Let me tell you why that is. Because Jew hatred manifests in many forms. It mutates like the virus that it is. And in the IRA definition, we have a powerful tool that allows us to recognize and educate about what Jew hatred is and how it appears in our day and age. The IRA definition is not, very important, is not a tool of censorship. It's a tool of education and understanding. And it's a tool that allows us to confront this great challenge of our time. But of course, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, because you know what? South Carolina was the very first state in the Union to adopt a definition of anti-Semitism all the way back in 2018. And even earlier, South Carolina was the very first state in the Union to adopt laws against the notorious boycott, divestment, and sanction movement targeting Israel. You know, that's the old "don't buy from the Jews" movement. It's a very old movement. Now it applies to the Jewish state. South Carolina, first state in the Union, said, not here. You want to do that? We're not doing business with you. And so really this state and its remarkable leaders, and Representative Bernstein and Clemens, you have been leading these efforts all the way through. South Carolina sets the standard for the United States. Among the people that made this happen are the students. And the students of South Carolina that for years lobbied and said, we need this. Because you know what? Students are too often on the front lines of this fight. And so thank you for mentioning AEPI President Barry Klarberg, who is representing the students of South Carolina. But think about this. Why is it? Why is it that our campuses have exploded with this venom of Jew hatred? Why is it that so many schools, K through 12, are seeing this anti-Semitism propagated so openly, so notoriously? It's not by accident. As every tyrant of the 20th century and of the 21st century knows, if you want to destroy a society and remake it in the dark image of these tyrannical movements, you got to take over the schools. You have to indoctrinate the young people so that when they become leaders, they've already imbibed this vile poison of anti-Semitism. Well, South Carolina today is saying, not in our state. Not here, you're not going to do that, because we're going to stand against Jew hatred and harassment and all of this stuff that we're seeing across the country. And for that, I think all of us need to celebrate. And lastly, let me say this. Make no mistake. This fight against rising anti-Semitism is not only about Jews. If it were, by the way, that would be moral reason enough to devote our time and effort against it. But no, this is not about Jews. This is about America. This is about our values. This is about the very spiritual DNA of the United States of America that these Jew haters are standing up against and fighting every day. Just look at the signs. Look at the disgusting signs on the campuses against the country, against our armed forces, against the police. The IAC, the organization that I'm privileged to lead, has organized rallies across the country from UCLA to Columbia and everywhere in between to meet face-to-face against this movement on campuses. You know what? You know what you see when you see these dual rallies? You see pro-Israel rallies where American flags are waved all over, where the Star-Spangled Banner is proudly sung because we stand for patriotism. And on the other side, you see hatred. Yeah, oh sure, hatred of Jews, but hatred of America, not a single American flag, not a single national anthem. And in fact, displays of despicable contempt for our country. Today, we stand united, arm in arm and shoulder to shoulder, for the future of our children. Because together, as a united front, we will build that better, more just, more decent future that our children and grandchildren so richly deserve. And as always, South Carolina is leading the way. Thank you so much.
Well, I think the ambassador about covered most everything, and very well, and we're glad to have you here. Just a couple of points for perspective. The ambassador spoke of South Carolina doing things first, and in fact, and standing up. I don't know if everyone recalls, but in the oldest continuously operating synagogue in this country is in Charleston, South Carolina, 1749. And for the history buffs out there, that is, in fact, before the Declaration of Independence and before there was a country. And at the time of the Revolutionary War, there were more Jews in South Carolina, specifically Charleston, where that synagogue was, than any other place in the country. And when the fundamental constitutions were being written up with John Locke and those other people, there was no discrimination at all against Jews. Jews were welcome. So South Carolina has been standing against anti-Semitism and for Jews and for Israel for a long time. And we will continue to do that. And to the extent that this clarity provided by this statute adds to that understanding and adds to our future, as it will, it is a great moment. I think back, I was reading about the little changes, little things here and there make a big difference. You remember don't remember what month it was, but it was in 1912 when the great Titanic was making her way from Southampton to New York. They were speeding along, couldn't stop it. And just a hair, if they had changed course, made a little decision, they would not have hit that iceberg. Great tragedy. Well, South Carolina is speeding along right now. We are booming. Our people are growing. Successes are coming left and right. So anything we can do to keep our course going in the proper direction by helping our people with things like this, definition and clarity, that will be to the great benefit not only of us, not only of our children and theirs, but we thank the country and the world as well. So we thank everyone for being here. Thank you who've worked so hard to make this happen. And we're going to keep on making things happen. Because when good things happen, they happen first and they happen fast right here in South Carolina. Does anyone have a question for anyone here? Hearing none, we'll now do the official